since it's not my usual time. So, hello. I think we are live. We should be live. And
Hello, everyone.
welcome everyone. Tonight I have Roland from KultGames, who has released a, I believe, quite well reviewed and popular new game called The Great Rebellion. Is that right?
That's
Did I get
correct.
that?
Yeah, it's
The
our
Great
second
Rebellion.
game. It has been. It has. I haven't actually even looked today, but last time I checked, it had like almost. It had like around 200 positive reviews on Steam. So I
Excellent.
guess people really like it. Yeah.
That's great. And right out of the bat, I mean, that's just from. I mean, that's great. And there's no. Oh man, moments before we went live, we were talking about how we don't want to be political. I immediately want to ask a political tinge question, but I mean,
It's fine. I mean, I think we can't avoid it, and I mean, I have made my bed and I have to sleep in it, so to say. I mean, the game is political, you know.
yeah.
So
Well,
there's probably no way around it.
I mean, you're like me, so the only reason it's political is that you basically aren't. You're not making a woke game where with woke values. You're just making a game that would be totally normal 10, 20 years ago or something, right? It's not like
For
it's
the most part, I mean, there are some references in it that are kind of explicit, but even
mm,
that would have probably been okay like 10 to 15 years ago,
yeah,
because it would have just been seen as like satire, something that you could have also seen in something like South Park or so. You know, everybody
yeah,
would have just found it funny, and that would have been it pretty much.
yeah.
But yeah, today things are of course highly politicized, and yeah.
Oh, it's so hilarious how you can't even like. I was just the kids were watching Willow. You know Willow.
Mhm. Oh,
The
I watched that movie. We had it on VHS, and I watched it like probably 10 times at least or so as a kid.
Yeah, me too. But
I
like
loved it.
they just watched it, and I just realized like the things in it that you would never. Just I was like almost shocked. There was like because every race in the Willow universe has a name, and then a sort of derogatory name. Like the little guys are also called Pecks, and it's like Peck. All this stuff that you would not see in a movie now. That was a little bit shocking. There was another one where they kept referring to the midgets or. Like, am I even allowed to say the fucking word midget?
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's the thing. Like, I think you're not even whatever. Yeah, the
Who cares?
mid-
I mean, fucking hell.
midgets.
But
Nobody
like,
can.
yeah,
Yeah.
nobody actually cares. But they kept referring to them like making little derogatory, short jokes, and throughout the whole film, I'm like, holy Jesus, like this, simple, basic kids movie, and like just normal life kind of things, like this would not be allowed. These simple little interactions, how everything has just been kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's like no fun allowed. It's like everything has to be like clinically sterile, neutered. But thanks for reminding me. I definitely want to show my kid when he's old, a bit older now. No, Willow. I'm sure he will love it.
Yeah, but I like that's just like even myself. I hate myself that I have noticed that and that I even like worry about
Yeah, you
that. So
can't
like,
even if you personally don't really care about it. Like you just can't watch it. It's true. Yeah, like
it
you can't
affects you.
watch
Yeah,
you can't watch a movie
they've
without noticing these things. Like it's like a little thing in your head now that has been
Yeah, you're always
implanted.
like, oh, that wouldn't be allowed now. I couldn't do that now. Like, you wouldn't see that anymore. It's just like they've effectively changed thought and language. It makes me sick. But anyways,
Yeah,
that's what we were discussing right before we went live is how you don't need to be explicitly or you don't set out or want to be as an artist political in any way or reason. But if you want to not be a crazy woke person limiting your thoughts and your language, you have to set a sort of political boundary and you have to wind up being a certain kind of person whether you like it or not. We are artists. We were more concerned with art and creating good art, and I'm sure as you were, this is what you were saying, your approach to making games, but you're forced into a political corner by reality of the world today. So I just wanted to get that aside, that you are,
yeah.
you
I
know
mean, I come like with me. It's like I come from the political activism sphere. Like I started kind of out at this as this. I mean, that's also not true because I developed games way before that. I did it back when I was a teenager already.
oh
But then I became very politically active, and now I'm like kind of like coming back from that and really just like wanting to make like good art, good games again. But it's impossible that they will not have like some political yeah aspect to it, I guess. Yeah.
and
So
is there any, have you experienced any trouble getting on Steam or with any of the
so
platforms and things
so far actually not, because I thought like I mean the game is not exactly subtle and it does definitely have its political message, but I think it's still I'm actually really surprised. Like so far, no big shitstorm has started. Like our first game was like kicked off Steam, and there was like a big shitstorm, and there was like lots of deplatforming and whatnot.
Oh, really?
Has been
Why? Tell me
completely.
why. I don't know anything about it. Like, first of all, let me say this too. Forgive me, please, but I'm not well versed in games these days. I haven't played your games or any games for a long time. Not really since I had my second or third kid. Second. I have not played any games, and I'm out of that world completely. And I know about you just from seeing you appearing on social media. And actually, the guy who's helping me develop a game was really excited. He's like, "You should talk to this guy." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. I'll do that." And he knows more of the world and what you've been up to. So I'm approaching this from a totally naive perspective. I don't know much about the world of games today, so that's why I'm hoping you can explain it for me and other people what's going on and what it's like. So what happened with your first game? Because I don't even know
Yeah,
what
the
was it
first
and
game
what
was
happened.
like a very explicitly political game. It was like it started out more like as a bit of an in joke in referring to like the specific like right wing sphere here in Germany and Austria.
All right, you're
Um,
German, are you, or
I'm actually Austrian. I'm
Austrian?
yeah,
Okay,
living close to the border to Germany,
okay.
close to Bavaria. But yeah, I'm Austrian, and it was a bit of a yeah, like just an elaborate in joke that turned into a game, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like heavily attacked for that because it had all these very explicit references, like there were like actual real life people in the game that were political activists and so on, very controversial persons, I
So
guess.
you set out to make political art in that world.
Yes, like
But
it
you
was
said you
definitely.
said you had been a game developer before you were political as
Yeah,
well, right?
I have actually made. I mean, I've made games just for fun when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, and then I made a game with an old school friend of mine who was also into game development back in 2004. It was called Atomic Butcher. It was like a 2D platformer where you played like a mutant in some kind of like post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you just had to like eat and destroy everything. And it was very gory, and just had a lot of
Nice,
fun with that.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, it was freeware. We just gave it away for free. We were stupid. Should have charged money, but
Why
we
did it
thought
do
it's
well?
funny.
Did it like was
It
it
actually
popular?
did well relatively. It was in 2004. That was even before like indie games were kind of like a thing. But it did well on like game development forums and so on, and had a lot of downloads. So yeah, I don't know if anybody feels very nostalgic. They can Google Atomic Butcher. It was a game we
What?
made
Let me
back.
ask. What is your specific skill set? What did you do in this game, and what do you do on the games? Do you just manage or like
Um,
art direct or?
well, I kind of have been forced to also become like art director, so to say, because yeah, basically I'm doing like almost everything to some degree. Like I'm writing code. I come very much like from. I studied computer science. I'm like a computer science guy originally.
Okay.
So I come like I write code. I do game design, like the game designing the game mechanics and everything. um, and also level design and so on. And I'm not an artist, like a visual artist or something, and I have no idea
Right.
about music. I can't play any instruments or whatever. But I have over time also kind of just I guess learned how to put stuff together. And if other people, if for our newest game, like a bunch of other like very like I think like 6 or 7 different people drew graphics in total. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of my job to kind of tie it all together, so to say. So I guess that's art direction. I guess that counts as art direction. So I kind of did that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Right.
like DIY, making it up as you go along, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, it
that's it.
looks incredibly complicated. I don't know. I like maybe dabbled in it very like nothing. Never really worked in game. Like even the game that the guy is developing for me, he's doing all the work really. I'm just going to he's using my stories and characters, and I give him some art direction. I say, no, do this, do
Mhm.
that, and I'm going to do the music. I think, and music and the sound effects I'll do. And what else will I do? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But like it's all
I
pretty
don't
much
know.
all him. But it requires a specific set of skills. It's very and it's very time
Yeah,
consuming.
it's
And
it requires, and I don't know. I've just always it comes relatively naturally to me because I've just always been so like engrossed in games as a medium. Like I loved them as a kid. I was very fascinated when I played my first video games when I was like maybe 8 or so.
right.
I love the aesthetics, especially of these like late 80s, early 90s type games that I grew up with.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just comes natural to me, I guess.
Right.
And
So was that part of your ethos, was to bring back those type of games like initially?
not like one to one, not like turn back the clock type, like we're gonna
Yeah.
replicate these types of games, but like the spirit of these games, I guess. They can
Right.
be in a modern yeah, like with a modern look or with modern game design sensibilities to some extent, but I want to bring the same, yeah, like they should be in the same vein. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you went, so you became political and you did the first game, knowing it was very cheeky,
Yeah,
and
and
then you were,
it got heavily attacked, and it was totally censored. It was literally banned in Germany. Like
oh my
banned. I
god,
mean, it's not completely illegal. You are allowed to have it, but it cannot be sold and advertised anymore.
or what will happen?
Uh,
What you'll get a
it,
fine or like go to jail or
yeah, you would get a fine if you were to like
okay,
publicly, I don't know, tell everyone, hey, play Heimatdefender. It was called. Yeah, play this game. You would get a fine. Yeah, if you did that publicly.
okay. And before that happened, was it doing what? Was it doing well? Was it popular or
Just doing very well. I mean, it got kicked off Steam, so we never could like
yeah?
distribute it via Steam, but we distributed it via our own website, and it got like around 50,000 downloads. It was also free, of course.
Right. Okay.
But that was quite successful. That was more than we expected for sure.
And was that at that point where would you consider gaming a full time job, or was that like a
Yeah, that
part
was
time?
kind of the moment when I thought like I this is what I actually want to do. This is what I always wanted to do. What was literally
Right.
my dream since when I was a kid. So I'll try it. I'll go for it. I'll go all in. I'll try to make this my job. And I found some other people who also kind of believed in this idea. And yeah, we made this second game, and it's far less of a. It still has like it's in its DNA that it still is a bit like this. That it has these political messages to some extent, but we
Mm.
really also tried to make it like a real game that we also want to play ourselves, that really just is fun to play, and we put a lot of effort into polishing the aesthetics, just making a cool game.
Yeah.
And
And
it has
oh,
worked to some extent because I'm actually surprised by like how many quote unquote normies or whatever, just like apolitical people seem to like it according to the reviews
that's
at least,
great.
because
That's
they
perfect.
don't say like, oh, this game is so base, therefore you have to buy it. But a lot of the reviews are just like, yeah, cool gameplay, nice graphics, the
That's great.
soundtrack rocks, good game. That's
Yeah.
it. No comment about the political stuff,
Yeah.
and that makes me actually the happiest if I read this type of reviews.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that's what I try to do with Aegeon, my Aegeon books as well,
Yeah.
and it's I find the same result. You do get normal or even liberal people saying, find the most dubious thing they find about it are the ads, because I'll have ads
Mm.
paid from people who are more political, and they'll be like, "Why is this ad in here?" They don't really notice even. It's fine because my whole thing is
I
just
should I should
like
probably
yours.
also
Is
put an
I
ad
just want
for
to
our
produce.
game
Yeah,
in your magazine.
you're the same way. You want to produce something that have content that the way you want, with it just without it being poisoned by the modern
Yeah.
the modern hyper politicization of everything that goes on, like whether you like it or not, that's happening. Our minds are getting zapped perpetually by it. But how long did this new game take? If this new game sounds like it was a leap forward for you in this scope and stuff, so how
Yeah,
long
yeah,
did
it
it
was
take?
definitely like a lot more effort, a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more content in it. The whole process took like yeah, like almost three years, but that also includes like it took us some time to even find people to finance the whole thing. The whole team of the game only assembled itself during the development. Like when I started out with this game, it was literally just me and Retro Rebel who did the soundtrack for the first game, and
Right.
the other people who worked on that game joined during the development of that game one by one and brought something new to the table, and then the design evolved and the concept evolved and changed over time. So it was, I guess, not the most like streamlined process, you could say, but
But you were
yeah.
taking it already at that point as a full time job. You were focused on it
For the
full time.
most time. I mean, I had to do some other stuff occasionally on the side to get some money,
Right.
basically. But for the most part, yeah, as far as I could, as far as it was possible, and yeah,
But you had some investor security. You said you had
yes,
investors.
exactly. Like there are some people who who have supported us. We also had a crowdfunding campaign in the beginning. We actually collected some money via crowdfunding, and we had some
Nice.
investors. And it's investors, it's not donors, so they actually expect some return on investment even. So
Right.
it's a
Right.
business, it's a business.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, that sounds great. So, and these are like apolitical investors. It's just, or
Oh, no, completely. They
business people.
are a bit, but not like hardcore ideologues or something. These are just
Yeah,
people
yeah,
who
yeah,
think that's cool what we were doing, and then yeah.
yeah. And what's like, because I don't even know what kind of game is it or what happens in it. It looks like a, it's obviously all a 3D. It's not like a,
Yeah, it's like an old school. I mean, okay, so because you asked me about the current state of games, I mean, the current state of the gaming industry is yeah, it's not in a good state. Let's put it like that. I mean,
okay.
obviously, it's completely full of like all that the usual, sorry, all of the usual woke bullshit and whatnot.
Mm.
Um, and also just the business practices are not great, like microtransactions, battle passes, everything gets like monetized. Like you don't just like back how it was back in the day, like you buy your game and then you own it. Instead you have to like, I don't know, it's subscription based. You have to pay every
Right.
month that you can keep
Oh, I hate
playing
that.
it. Or
Yeah.
you the game is technically free but not really, because you can download it and then you have to like pay for every little thing in the game, like extra, like all these like predatory types of
Yeah.
monetization. There is a lot of stuff just that's not good in the gaming industry. And I mean, it's kind of
Well,
collapsed
everything,
actually. There have been like massive layoffs recently, which I
ever.
personally enjoy tremendously.
Hire
It
them.
should
You can
all
hire. You
burn,
can.
yeah.
You can pilfer these people and get and hire them.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe one day,
No.
some of
Yeah.
them.
Steal them.
Right.
But like, it seems to me that everything on the internet has gone that way. Everything, because I have done and still sometimes do a bit of like web design stuff or whatever, right? And like everything, anything internet related now, they try to get on a cloud, a pay per month cloud thing.
Mm.
Many things you used to get that you would just buy one time and own it for life. Now are they try to get a subscription, including
Yeah.
programs, anything related to like web hosting and all this. Like it seems it's not just games, everything
Yeah.
that they can now they try to get on
No, it's
a
like
subscription.
you're
And
not supposed, you won't own anything and you will be happy. It's that idea. You're only like renting stuff or subscribing to stuff, and it's a service, but you don't actually own anything.
Yeah. So your game, this new game, is a one-time fee game. Is that how it works, or
Yes, yes.
are
I
you
mean, you
able
can
to?
buy it on Steam. It's you can download it. Steam is, yeah, it's the biggest distribution platform.
yeah,
You have to have the Steam client installed to play it, but it's still like it's not subscription based or something. You buy it once, you download it, you have it.
and so
And if
what?
you really, if you really don't even want to do that, I mean, if you want to support us, it would be great if you buy it. But there is already a cracked version of the game out there, so you can download it on BitTorrent. Which
Okay,
I
okay,
personally, I mean, I know it's from a business perspective. I don't know if that is smart what I'm saying right now, but I personally feel honored by the fact that it has been cracked already after one day. Like that makes it now a real game. That's the
yeah,
seal of approval.
yeah, yeah. No, that's great. And like, what is the basis of the game? Like, what's the story, or like, what happens in it?
Yeah, it's like I mean the whole game is like it takes the basic formula of like old school 2D platformers, classic stuff, early 90s type games like, I don't know, Turrican or Contra or whatever. And uh, it's a so-called roguelite. That means there are a few like more modern additions, so to say, to that formula. First of all, the levels are randomly generated or quasi randomly generated. They're reconfigured every
Sorry,
time you play.
it's a roguelite. You said roguelite.
Yeah, these games are called roguelikes
Oh,
because they go
roguelike.
back to a game which was from the 70s, which was called, very old game, role-playing game, like in the vein of Dungeons and Dragons,
Called
called
what?
Rogue, which was a game like back then, there were no graphics. It was a purely
Hmm.
text-based game,
Yep.
where also the dungeons were randomly generated. That was its big draw.
Oh,
Like, first of all, it had like two defining features. It was like a dungeon crawling thing, like Dungeons and Dragons type dungeon crawler, with
yep.
first randomly generated levels, and the second thing was that there was like permadeath. That means when you died, you died. Your character was gone. You couldn't like
Right.
just load a save game or something. You had to start all over again. But
And is
it
that the way
was
it is in your game?
kind of, there are two modes.
Oh,
One, like, is like the hardcore rogue type mode, where you every time you die you have to start all over.
Mhm.
Almost like you can buy some upgrades. You can upgrade your character and give him special abilities and so on, and you will keep those. So you don't actually have to start completely over from scratch every time, but you will lose all weapons and items and all the money you have and so on. And you have to play all the
Nice.
levels again, but you can keep those upgrades. They are permanent.
I
So
love it.
it does, you can grind a little bit like in a role-playing game. It has
Mhm.
that element to it.
A genuine risk, genuine pain. I like it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of these types of games where like, yeah, what you do has like consequences. You can't just like load. I find it fascinating. I know many people obviously find that way too brutal and too punishing, and that's why we added like a second game mode, which is basically I call it the training mode in the game, where you only have to replay the current level. You don't actually have to start all over again, and you still have all the weapons and everything you had at the point before you started the level. So it's, but you won't see the real ending of the game. It's you know, if
Yeah.
you want to see that, you have to play the actual roguelike style
Oh,
mode.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Excellent. Reward and punishment system. I like that.
yeah.
And is that who came up with the story for the game? Like, what is the story? What's
Yeah,
going on?
so the story is like, I mean, it kind of builds a little bit on the general premise of the first game, which is like, you know, a cyberpunk-ish type setting. Everything is controlled by one huge like mega corporation that has taken over, and it's like a woke mega corporation. It brainwashes
Oh, right.
people,
Okay.
it
Good.
turns them, yeah, you know. So there's like, you know, it's a bit satirical, a bit tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's great.
and yeah, in this scenario, like you are just one of the many drones living in this world, and you have like a chip implanted in your head. And but in the beginning
Ooh.
of the game, you wake up in your
Neuralink.
sleeping, yeah, basically, yeah, like in your sleeping pod, you wake up and you're supposed to go to work, but you decide
Oh,
you have
that's
enough, and
great.
you rip the chip out of your head, and you know, go to
Yeah.
work to like show your bosses like, you know, what you really think of them. And then
And
yeah, that's how the game starts. I don't want to
and
spoil
then
too much.
you're fighting the whole world from there.
Yeah, basically, and it's like, and the whole thing is like, the character you're playing in the beginning, we wanted to be like more like, we wanted to make it a bit more like uh you know, more melancholic, I guess, or whatever. But then we said like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna be like high energy, and you're like this guy who just like is basically like an 80s action hero. He only speaks in like cool one-liners, and you know,
Yeah.
just like kicks the technocratic elite's ass, and yeah. So it's
Great.
all a bit, you know. There are also like not only political references, there are references to like 80s action movies and these classic like schlocky B movies and such things.
Yeah.
And the story was written, and the dialogue was written, I mean, basically with the general premises and so on. Like, it was a guy who joined our team relatively early on in the development, who also had experience in game development, the game development industry, from England. So our
Okay.
team became very international relatively quickly, and he really helped me. Like, he was very good. Like, he's a good writer, and he's very talented when it comes to like writing witty dialogue and so on. And so he wrote all the all the yeah, the dialogues and the text, and fleshed out the background of the
Yeah.
world, which was originally, when I envisioned it in the beginning, was still very much like this very like blatant satire, but mostly due to his work, we together we like fleshed it out into more like an actual like world. Like, we did like world building, like there was like a
Like a real
lore
world.
and
Yeah.
yeah, stuff to it.
Well, that's great because that's. I mean, I also do like stories. I do stories like that in Aegeon where I like have a near future scenario that has a little political, a little jab at some like contemporary trend that you imagine it having evolved into like a a tyrannical situation, which it probably is and will do anyways. Like you say, living in
Yeah,
the pods and the Neuralink and all the rest of it. It's not hard to imagine exactly how it will go.
that's we
Yeah.
constantly had this thing. There was constantly like this experience during the development of this game, we tried to come up with some like completely over the top, satirical, ironic parody of the real world. And then the
Yeah.
real world just ended up being like at least as bad or even worse than
As
anything
bad or
we
worse,
could
yeah.
come up.
Do it more than you would ever guess. Yeah.
So that was so frustrating. That's also why I just don't want to do the whole like
Can you
satire
name
thing
one? Can you give
anymore.
an example of? Can you give an example? Do you remember one?
Well, let me think.
'Cause, I mean, 3 years is, yeah. You said 3 years in development. I mean, that is a long
Yeah, it
time.
was a
A
long
lot of
time.
like,
It was a long
let's say
time.
like
Yeah.
even you were going back into COVID years even, right?
Yeah, it started
Right.
out still as that, and the original the original design of the game was far more like was far more yeah, there were more references to the whole COVID thing. We kind of turned that down because I mean it's just not, I think it's just not a great idea if you put stuff in a game or whatever in your art that is like too bound to a very specific time and to a very
Yeah.
specific event. It will not
True.
age
Yeah.
well. So there's still like there are a few hints now there and then, but basically yeah, but basically we tuned that down quite significantly. Yeah, I mean, it's wait, now from the top of my head, I can't really think of any very good example. Let me think.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry. It's okay if
I
I
mean,
put you
there,
on the
there
spot.
were like, yeah, I mean, we tried to have, we had like some jokes about like how, you know, like how everything is always, you know, the movies where suddenly like some mythological character or whatever is suddenly black, you know, like
Okay.
that stuff happened,
Suddenly
you know,
black.
happens a
Yeah.
lot. So we had like there's like in one level there are like movie posters in the background, and it's like Braveheart 2 or something, and you know it's a black guy, and all of that stuff.
It became
Like I
true.
mean, if you look at the kind of stuff they actually made,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
at least as bad or even
I mean,
worse than
Sir
anything we could
Lancelot,
come up with.
Achilles. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
everyone is just black now, and it wasn't there even there was like you know, like a Mannerheim movie where Mannerheim was black, and like historical figures. It's crazy, and yeah,
yeah.
this was the reality is at least as
Vikings.
bad as everything we could come up with. Black Vikings, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is a good example. There's a serious absurdity to that. They love doing that. What do they call it? Race blind casting,
Yeah,
which is
which is
so
the
absurd.
exact opposite of race blind because they completely intentionally hire these black people. So it's like, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
especially when it's a historical figure. It's like, okay,
Yeah, I
that's a
mean
that's a
that's
slap
not
in the
race
face.
blind. That's like very intentional, you know.
Oh
But
shit,
yeah,
it's terrible. I mean, it's so bad. You're negating the existence of an entire people. Like you're such an attack. It's especially their heroes and their historical figures. But anyways,
yeah.
that is
But
excellent and funny.
that's also like we wanted to also like do a bit of the opposite of that, and actually have like historical or mythological characters in the game. And it's a bit of an anachronism because it has this like cyberpunk setting, but there's also like the more like I guess fantasy or mythological aspect to it because you have like this hub level that you return to after every mission, which is like this
Right?
like an enchanted forest where like mythical creatures are still alive and so on.
Really?
And yeah, so there is like a bit that aspect, and in the levels you can find like companion spirits of like, you know, King Arthur and Achilles and Poseidon and like various gods, and but also like actual like historical figures like Bismarck or the Red Baron or something. And they will, and their
Right.
spirits
Cool.
like will then
Bismarck.
like
The Bismarck.
yeah, well,
These
we
are
just
your German folk heroes. Are
yeah,
your
yeah,
main.
yeah. Like we try to have like characters from different European peoples to be
Yeah.
like a bit more, you know,
Oh
diverse
yeah.
now, representative.
Yeah, you should.
Um,
Actually diverse. Yeah, you should.
actual
You
diversity,
want it.
that diversity, and yeah. So they can help you. They have like special attacks that they can like do and help you if you find them. So we brought this like thing into the game that there's like this, you know, it's a futuristic game. Cyberpunk takes place in the future, but it has like a bit also this connection to the past and
Yeah.
to your
Is there a
origins.
year you set it in? Is it set in a certain year, or do you not?
Yeah, we always like there is that's actually a reference. Like there is like there are the old Mega Man games, and they always just set the date in the year 20XX. Like they always just use 20XX.
20
We just
XX.
as basically as a reference to the old Mega Man games, we also use. So yeah, it takes place in the year
That's good, yeah.
20XX.
Clever.
But we turned that also into a bit of an inside joke within the game, that like the regime has eradicated any kind of history, so nobody actually knows what year it is. So everybody just says we live in the year 20XX because legitimately nobody knows, like in the game world. So we made that into a bit of a joke, but it's actually a reference to Mega Man. So yeah, there's a lot of like these layers in the game.
Yeah. Sounds like it. That sounds great. But I was going to ask, in terms of your like big baddies, without giving any levels or anything away, like what are the ultimate kind of bad guys here? Are they just like these corporate bigwig type people, or
Essentially, they're like technocrats that like use like transhumanism to turn into like immortal beings. That's like kind of the
Ooh.
plot of the game, that they want to turn themselves into these like immortal
It's all
beings.
true.
But well, I mean,
all based
again,
on
here we go with the reality and the satire. Yeah? And in the game, like they do this with like they have like a secret plan that they want to channel their consciousness into like a cybernetic, like it's called the cyberverse in the game, so that they can live forever there. But in doing so, they would actually just like kill themselves. Like it wouldn't actually work because you can't actually do that. So that's kind of like the joke in the game. Yeah. That the plan is actually flawed, but you have to prevent it, because when they try to do that, they would also like destroy everything around them. So that's kind of the plot.
Right. But I mean, every now and again, if you can look online, you can find people seriously talking about living for. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of that. I'm just saying for the people listening to this that may not believe it, there are people, particularly elites. I think even that Jared Kushner guy was talking about it. Pretty sure he
Probably.
was.
I don't know
Yeah.
about it specifically, but I know this is something they are very keen on.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Ray Kurzweil was one. Kurzweil.
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah, he was one of the four like the thinkers that brought up these ideas of like transhumanism and living forever and some kind of
Yeah.
disembodied. Yeah.
They
I mean,
study age. They study aging and death, and they have they have a serious plan. Believe it or not, they believe anyways. I think. I mean, I really believe they're seriously misguided. I don't think this is one thing you cannot cheat. Is
no, I
eventual.
just think you can't do it. I mean, I always think like if they would really like manage to like create some kind of computer that would just like probably like mimic themselves, like maybe they could like create some perfect like replica that behaves like them, but I don't think you can like actually transfer your consciousness. Like you would just be dead, and then some.
Well, they wouldn't. They wouldn't care about that.
Automaton. Yeah, but like it just won't work. I don't know. You're just gonna be dead, and you have like some thing moving and operating that pretends to be you, but it's never gonna be you. So
no, they're just too spoiled.
But maybe I'm just too stupid. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it.
Well, I remember listening to Kurzweil in his talk, and taking it, and there was others at the time. I can't remember all the names, but there was other people. I've always been interested in that, or like freezing themselves cryogenically and being revived at some later date. People have paid for this kind of thing. It's basically just like elite psychopaths who have defeated so much in reality that they actually think they can come up against death and God and stuff like this, so that they can actually.
I mean, it's just a form of hubris, basically, and
it seems very silly.
Work.
Like,
it's not gonna work.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's.
They believe it. I know they believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I truly believe that. Like, change is inherent to the pattern of the cosmos, and that includes rebirth, death, and rebirth, and that the cycle is put in place. Like, and it works the way it is. There's no way you're going to allow. Like Kurzweil, what was his plan? Or even say, there's another guy that's famous for it now. Another guy, I can't remember his name.
I think these people assume that like it doesn't matter what kind of material substance you use, whether it's a brain or something else, as long as it has like the necessary like capability to process information and do calculations and whatnot, then it can be alive and conscious. And the human body is actually like very bad at that. You can build like way better computers and computer-like systems. And essentially, what their end goal, I think, from what I understand, is that they just like leave all these like material limitations behind and just become like pure information.
Is that it? Because
That's how
I remember
the
Kurzweil and others, as
universe.
I recall, were literally about making their physical body survive. They were thinking
Okay, I
about
mean there are different strains of
aging.
that. That's true.
Yeah,
There are those who also try to like basically create immortal bodies. That's true. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
They
also
try to view aging as an illness or like as an unnecessary kind of an ailment that attacks you that you can somehow skirt around as though it's not like inevitable, as though decay and entropy and decline aren't like built into the fabric of the universe. This is the great foolishness. They're basically
yeah.
cowards. They're scared of dying. They
Yeah,
can't
that's the
cope
thing.
with it.
That's the thing. They're extreme. They're extreme. Like they, I mean, they are nihilists, and
Yeah, yeah, they
they
are
are
nice.
afraid of
Yeah,
death, and they
yeah,
are scared, and they are very rich, so they
hmm
use all their wealth and power to do something against that fear. But yeah, I think it won't work
yeah.
out. I have
So
bad
that's
news
great.
for you.
I can't think of someone better to make as a bad guy in a in a near future scenario, a story in a game. Because yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, it was
Yeah,
kind of the obvious choice, but I mean, still, like the game kind of has its like roots. Like it can't deny its roots as like a very like political game, and I definitely for future games want to, just want to basically also do what you and what Dave Martell is doing, and people like you, to choose like a more like a more subtle or less explicit approach. And I think it's just more interesting, not just because of some like utilitarian, that way you can reach more people kind of way. I just think it's more interesting because how often can you do the memes and the references and the parody? It gets stale, I think, at some point. You can't tell that many interesting stories that way, I think.
yeah. It shouldn't be the basis of what you're doing exactly. It should be a part of it. I think.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be like the whole thing or even really that important. All it does is having this our mindset really when you're trying to create something for its own sake, art wise, is it allows you to avoid all that modern nonsense and to be aware of it and keep it out and be aware of the fact it's like a poison that will spread through your work and destroy it if you
yeah.
allow even a second of that mindset. So that's all you have to do is be aware of that, and then the story can be like we said, it could like your game could be comparable to like a normal game from before all this happened,
Before
which is all.
that's I mean that's enough, because if you have like this more like political activism type mindset, you're always like thinking like but will it get the message across? And it's like if you make such a game that is literally just like how games used to be like 20 years ago or so. I mean that's already like subversive enough, especially if a lot of people like it. Like if a lot of people like that stuff, and it becomes very popular like that. That is subversive. Like if you're going
Well,
for that.
your game is being popular. Your game is being popular, and even just amongst normal type people who just pick it up, and probably
Yeah,
for that reason,
yeah, yeah.
is they know they don't. They're like, oh,
That's
they don't know anything about politics or this and that, but they know that they're not being intellectually insulted or talked down to and lectured or anything else, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or they can see the little reference to the they maybe have some awareness of the Neuralink, the
It's like on
yeah
some level, like you get it. Like I mean, it's even if you're not too aware of these things. Like I think everybody on some level understands that there's like
has some
some
awareness at this point. Yeah,
some
I
stuff
think
going
almost
on.
everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody
Almost
who's online
everybody.
for more than 10 minutes. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
got Dave Martell came on and gave me $2 super chat. Thank you, David. Hail Uncle Brendo and Cult Games. Hail David. He's
Yeah,
always
big
good for
big
giving
shout
out a
out
super.
to Dave. Like he really helped me a lot, helped us a lot, pushed us. Also, just this was very crucial to me keeping
Was it?
going
Yeah, excellent,
with
excellent.
that project.
I'll have to check out the video he had you on. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it was an
He's always ahead
like,
of me. He's always one step ahead of me on all this shit. Whenever I think I've done something, and like, oh, he did it like last week or something, right? It's always the fucking same thing. But yeah, I mean, he gave us the super chat. So go out and buy Dave's books, Biz Archives, horror, pulp, fiction, and that game. Just like we are saying, there's no political message. It's just not garbage.
Yeah, that's it's also like that was also a bit of like a poof, like an epiphany I had when this game came out, and people just just liked it for being a good game. That's like it's the best thing you can do. Like just do make something that's like cool, that's good, it's like high quality, that's like not yeah.
Well, that's all
That's
you
the
ever wanted
secret.
to do when you were a kid and you did the first game or anything else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I ever wanted to do when I was like 14 and learned programming and made my first games in BASIC and so on. Just do something that's good where people say like, "Hey, that's cool." It's really and it like if you are of a certain mindset, then like all these other things will pulsate through everything you create. Like I wouldn't be probably physically capable of making like a libtard game. I don't have to try. Like I don't have to like put an effort, cram in like the message or something. So I think really like the big lesson I took away from all of this is to be way more relaxed about this for like future games, that I can just like I'll just make a cool game and it will be fine. Like it will be like it won't be woke, it won't be, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because I've been thinking a lot when I was making this game, like sometimes I caught myself thinking like, is this like edgy enough or so? And I think you probably
Oh,
shouldn't think like that. Yeah.
you were worried about showing being as edgy as possible for like the community or feel a part of, you mean, or just in
Yeah,
general?
basically, I was I was sometimes catching myself thinking like, yeah, for all the the right wingers, the people from that sphere, who I am a part of,
Yeah.
also, like, will they, if I just make a game that I like, that I think is just a cool game, will they
Yeah.
not think like, yeah, but where are all the political references and it's boring? It's just a game. Why should I play that? Yeah, like I've
No,
been
that would be so
catching
lame if they
myself.
would ever did that. No one would ever do that. There's no way. Would they?
Yeah, I understand that now. Like I have now, but it's also a bit of a process that I had to go through to like
Yeah.
understand how these things actually work.
No, I mean, as long as you don't do something totally sell out and gay,
No, I mean, I never,
everyone will like and respect it.
yeah, I never put anything in this game that is like inauthentic and that I couldn't stand behind.
Yeah.
But so I guess it's all fine.
So Dave has a question. What are sales like now? If you don't mind this prying personal question, what are sales like? Are you guys rich yet?
Uh,
Are you rich yet?
we're not rich yet, but it's going fine. We will probably need a bit more push, like outside of Germany. We are still very like restricted to Germany. Our sales come like to like more than 2/3 from Germany still.
Okay, why would
So
that
we
be?
still have
Are you doing lots of?
because that's where we are the most well known. Basically, I don't know. It's yeah, we had like some German streamers that I also like just personally know or have a personal good relationship, and who are also, of course, like from a more political background, because there
Yeah.
are no like right wing or like non woke gaming streamers like in Germany. At least that's not really a thing. I know such people exist in the Anglosphere.
Mhm.
So these people have pushed us quite a bit and reached a lot of people, and that's very cool, and I'm very grateful to them. But of course, it also confines us still a little bit to like the usual, especially German speaking, like more like right wing sphere. So yeah, we are still like
I imagine the German speaking right wing sphere is a. I mean, I can only imagine the terror they live under every every day, or the extra pressure they feel from the compared to
currently
other
things
places.
are pretty wild because the German, like the AfD, that I mean, I don't want to talk too much about politics, but just very
Yeah. Right.
briefly,
Sorry. Yeah.
there is like this right wing party. It's gotten like been very successful in the last years. The system is freaking out, and now they're like really cracking down, and there is a huge campaign going on. It's pretty crazy currently in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
basically,
We won't talk
we
about
are still. But it's going well in Germany, but we're still like we still are looking for like more exposure, like internationally. But we
America is where
actually
you
have
want the
some.
exposure. America is still the place where you want to.
Yeah, that's actually like if we manage to actually get better known in America, that's basically then we would have made it. But we
Would you
have
have
some
a?
stuff coming up. There is like maybe some people listening to this might know him. There is a streamer named ER, like E semicolon R. He's not a streamer. He's actually a YouTuber, but he also does gaming streams.
Okay.
He recently was not recently, but a few years ago, there was a bit of an incident when PewDiePie mentioned him, and I don't know. People can Google that. Anyway,
Okay.
doesn't matter. He wants to stream our game, which is really cool. So
Ah,
I hope
very
like that this will help us, and
Yeah.
and a bunch of others also. Like we have some
And did
contacts.
he offer to do that, or did you approach him, or did he offer to do that, or what's the story with him?
Actually, one of our fans, like our German fans, tagged him on Twitter, and he responded. So that was really cool.
Man,
So yeah. So
cool.
to answer Dave's question, it's going well, but we still need like that extra like international push. We are currently approaching. We're approaching about half of the sales that like we're approaching like 50% of the sales that we ultimately need to say like, okay, this was not a monetary failure. This paid off. This works, and we can continue doing that. So we are approaching like 50% of that, which is very decent considering that the game is out like a week, and the
Oh,
time
well,
horizon that we have set
More than
ourselves.
decent. I mean, that sounds great. That sounds
No,
good.
it sounds good. It's good. It's good. It's slowing down now because, of course, the
Right.
most sales were in the first few days. It's
Mhm.
slowing down a bit now, but it's gonna be fine because it's been like a bit over a week, and we have like a time horizon of like a few months where we want to reach these sales, and we have already
Well,
almost.
what kind of marketing scheme do you have? Do you have plans for marketing to other places? Like, I mean,
We
I don't
probably
know how.
will do some paid advertisement with some bigger influencers in the near future. In the next few weeks, we have
Right.
some stuff in the pipeline, and due to the fact that we did already sell a bit of money, we have a little bit of marketing budget. So we'll try to, we'll use like paid advertisement through influencers. I think that's the most
Is that what people do
efficient way.
nowadays? I didn't even think of this because I keep thinking about paid ads through Facebook and other places. What you would just like give your
Yeah,
money
we've
to them?
also been doing that. We tried to like just pay ads for on Instagram and also Twitter and
Yeah.
TikTok even.
Yeah.
And
News.
yeah, it's hard to really tell how much it really,
Right. Yeah, that's
how
what
much
makes
effort
sense.
it really had. But what we are trying to do now is to like basically give like bigger influencers a bit of money, and they just add like I don't know if some people watching this, I mean, probably will know Count Dankula. Like he used to do
Mhm.
that stuff where
Yeah.
in all of his videos he just had like a short segment of like 5 minutes where he said that everybody needs to play Raid Shadow Legends. I should get paid by
Yeah.
Raid Shadow
Yeah.
Legends, I guess, now that I said that.
Yeah.
Uh, so he was shilling for this game, and he got money for that, and that's relatively effective because these like influencers, you probably have the right audience. Like if somebody, if
Yeah.
an influencer tells you that something is cool, that's better than just seeing a random advertisement somewhere.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I should.
So
No,
that's like one
that's inspiring
one
me to do
strategy.
something. Such a good idea. Yeah. More
And
and like
because we're just trying to, we're
how much
just
money?
writing. I'm sorry, what?
No. Well, like how? Like I shouldn't ask you on stream. I'll ask you privately later.
Yeah, I
How
don't
much
really want to
Dankula
talk too much about like
Yeah.
specific amounts, but we
Yeah.
can talk
Sorry.
about
Sorry.
that
That's not
probably.
a good
It's all
idea.
good.
Yeah.
It's all good. No problem. And
Of
another
course, I'm
thing we're just
interested.
doing is just we're writing to every gaming streamer, like total normie streamers, everyone. We even like got some requests from Japanese gaming streamers, and we're just sending them Steam keys and sending them copies of the game, and we just hope that people will play the game on like streams or YouTube videos. There are a few playthroughs of the game already, like by total like non-political, just normie gamer channels.
Mhm.
So we hope that
That's
gets
cool.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Now I think.
Japanese are always waiting. Oh, go
Sorry.
on. No. You go on. You go on.
No, I just I mean, we will have to like constantly advertise the game. Like it's not working. Like you release the game and then you kick back and the money comes rolling in. It's
Yeah.
gonna be like a bit of a constant grind probably for the next weeks or months. But I'm
Oh,
very confident.
forever in a way.
Or
Like
forever, yeah, for
yeah, it's
probably,
like when
yeah.
I release a book. It's like when I put out a book. And whenever if you create a book or a game or anything, like the most of the work is actually after you release it. You've got to
Yeah,
grind it one way or another. You're always thinking of like, how can I reach more people? This and that. Like it
yeah,
never stops. I don't think. Yeah.
that's true.
But
That's
and
an
it's like a
experience.
book. It's like a thing that will sell continually. Like, this is the one good thing about the modern world in this sense, and the things we are producing and selling is that you can and selling things online. There's a certain advantage in that you can create
Mhm.
something. You work hard on something once, and then you're lucky that the only job further than that is trying to doing your best to reach more people to sell it to. But
Yeah,
as opposed to like making the same thing. But you always are working on the next project anyways. I guess as well. But I don't know. There's a certain advantage in the way things are sold online that
Mhm.
helps the
That's true. I
average
mean, we
person,
couldn't.
the guys like you and
We
me. Go on.
obviously we couldn't do all of this in a pre-internet age, even if we
No.
would have made the game, how would we distribute it? How would we sell it? How would we market it? You would need a lot of money, like back in the
Yeah.
day.
I
So
was
it's
going to ask you.
really,
Imagine that you were working in a gaming company now, like a normal one. I don't know what the. I remember, what are the big ones these days? But like
I don't know, Ubisoft or something, or yeah,
whatever it is, whatever they were. Like imagine your
Bethesda.
life. That you'd be there day and night. Like you would never leave the place. From what I recall of them and people working there, like they never stop working.
Yeah.
And as well as being inundated with woke stuff, having to ruin and destroy your game ideas with this garbage and committee-led decision making. Like there'd be so many downfalls. You'd be just probably depressed. I mean, maybe you would find some enjoyment in it. I don't know, but you're so much better being able to do your own game, don't you think? Like control it yourself in a small.
Absolutely. Like I was before I thought that this was like a feasible avenue to pursue. I was not interested in like I did work at a gaming company at some point. That was also some time ago already, but I actually did work at a regular gaming company for some time in Austria. I did not like it at all because of the reasons that you like. The working conditions were not very good. Like you were expected to like do like lots of overtime. Like before the game was released, like there was crunch time. I remember having to stay in the office until 4 a.m. in the morning. Pay was, I guess, okay, but not really worth that. You had very little actual like creative influence because everything was like some committee driven, blah blah. So that was not such a great experience, and I actually was like, okay, maybe I'll do just game development as a bit of a hobby in my spare time, but I'm not gonna try to do that for a living. And that was kind of my mindset for a long time, and only in the last few years I have now really gone back to like, okay, this is this different, like this indie game, internet, self-published thing, like that can work, and that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many reasons why it's better that if you can do that and control it yourself and keep it small and
Yeah,
yeah,
also, I
all of
don't want to have like a big AAA studio with God knows how many employees. I don't want that. I always want to stay like a small indie company with like maybe 10 to 20 people working on games, something that you have lots of creative control over. And yeah, that's it. I don't think it's desirable to become much bigger, to be honest. And not then
yeah.
neither is it necessary. Like a lot of very influential games have been made by very small teams. That's like one of the big advantages of game development, as opposed to like, let's say, making movies, where you just need a lot more resources and manpower.
Oh, movies, yeah. I actually tried to make there's a movie guy. I know a guy who made a movie and he's been involved in the movie world. So he was trying to help me make a synopsis for my first novel, The Dream God. I kind of stopped it and gave up. But we had to make a movie synopsis to approach an investor, and he was like, "You need at least what did he say? It was several million we were going to ask for through this synopsis." And he was serious. And I was like, "Okay, so how?" And the synopsis was basically like a little magazine you make with an advertisement for. You show the photographs. You may show pictures of the how you imagine it and outline the story and like a sales pitch thingy. And
Okay, so it's just for the sales pitch. You already need like millions, or
well, no, not millions for the sales pitch. We were going to put it together, but just like it just seemed
okay,
so
okay.
absurd to me that anyone was ever going to offer me millions for my little magazine of pictures and,
Mhm.
and words, and we never finished it. Maybe I should have, but just I remember that just the fact that my point was that movies cost even to make a low budget, mediocre, small film here, it's at least a few million.
Mm.
2 or 3 million is considered next to nothing. I knew that. He was like, for what you want to do in this movie, you're going to want to ask for 20 million. I was like, holy, like who's going to give me a 20 million? Just this guy who wrote this book, give me a
Yeah,
break.
it's crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I think movies are really maybe technology, and I don't know, maybe AI. Who knows? Maybe there will be some ways to do it cheaper in the future. But yeah, I mean, compared to that, games are very like they also cost money. Like it's
well,
one should
it took
not
you 3 years
underestimate
of
that.
working, of 3 years of work, and all people have
Yeah, I
to.
mean, obviously, I did a bit of like self exploitation. I did not work for the kind of money you would actually get as like, I don't know, just like a regularly employed software engineer somewhere,
Yeah.
because I obviously had like a certain amount of idealism and belief in the project, and it was what I wanted to do. but even that already cost quite a bit. And if you have like other people you have to pay, and yeah, I mean, we are really trying to like build a company here, and it's going to take a lot of work and money, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But still, it's very manageable compared to, I guess, movies. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess comics are also a very good medium where you can do with relatively few resources. You can do a lot.
Um,
I have no
yeah.
experience in that, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but I assume.
Well, yeah. It's like anything else. You need the marketing and the
Mm,
distribution program and all these things. Really, you can make the greatest comic or the greatest game in the world, but like so much hinges on how
yeah.
many people become aware of it, right?
Yeah,
It's
this is
huge.
also something I have finally understood. Like, because in the past I often also approached game development with like, I'm gonna make a good game. That's what game development is, right? To make a good
Mm.
game, and that's it, But that's just not true. Like, making a good game is the absolute minimum, the
Yeah,
bare
an
minimum.
absolute minimum.
Like that's what
Bare
you're
minimum.
supposed to do at the very least, and only then can you start to actually think about like, how will I actually sell this game, and everything else is
Yeah.
marketing, and
Yeah.
that decides about whether success or whether it will be successful or not. That it's all marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know, like, I remember years ago, when I was first out of school, I remember applying. I remember, like, this is a long time ago now, but just like you were said, you worked at your experience working at a proper gaming studio. It was exactly the same, like decades ago when I sort of looked into it. That and I worked briefly in animation, and the reason
Is that it's so easy to exploit the workers, to get them to work as much overtime as you like for free or whatever, because so many people want to do that work. There's
Yeah.
people lining up to work in games or animation and any kind of creative job that's genuinely creative and isn't like soul sucking corporate nonsense. People will do for free basically.
Yeah.
so
And it
they
will be
tend to be
exploited.
exploitative
Yeah.
jobs.
That's true. Like
Even
when I got that job at a gaming company, I was like, oh my god, this is like a dream come true. I can work at a gaming company. I can, make
yeah,
video games for a living. Wow, this is it. I made it.
mm.
And yeah, the reality was not exactly like that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's part of
can
it.
exploit
I mean,
it
that's
can
part of it.
exploit
That
people.
and being woke and the whole committee thing and everything. But that's even worse. But like, yeah, it tends to be that way. But even that,
Mm.
even I must say, like, say in doing Aegeon, I exploit that slightly myself, in that there's people willing to do stuff for free, which I'm more than happy to take it
Yeah, I mean,
because
sure. I
it's
mean,
cool and
okay,
it's fun,
it's,
whatever, right?
I think it depends a lot on like how you do it and with what kind of mindset. I mean, you can just like
Mm.
exploit that, or you can like use it to create something that's really cool and will eventually in the end also pay off for everyone who's involved. But
Yeah,
in order to make it real, everybody has to like put in maybe a bit of extra work that will not, like, a bit of extra unpaid work. Like I did it myself, like, I mean, if I
yeah,
were to like calculate how much I got per hour for making this game, I mean, that would be ridiculous, the
yeah.
amount of money I've worked for. Like every I don't know, every toilet cleaner earns a lot more than that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't earn a tremendous amount off my side projects. That's one of the funny things. Actually, the guy who's developing the game for me, he does a lot of illustrations for me too, which is
Hmm.
funny. But he's
Cool.
like privately wealthy. He's like a millionaire from his other job. He just does this for
Oh,
kicks. Yeah, but
cool.
every now and again he kind
I
of
want to
asks me
be a
for money.
millionaire too. Then I could also just make games for fun. That would be
No shit.
nice.
Well, for me, it's great because I'm just like I'm not paying you shit. You are way richer than me. And we
Nice.
actually made a little joke comic about that. I'm going to put it in the next issue, which is pretty funny. Anyways, I won't go into that. He's the one who told me I should interview you. He was very impressed with your game and hearing that it was
Oh,
doing well and
cool.
everything. Because he's working on a game himself, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And he was like, "Wow,
Um,
they're doing well, and it's organic. It's not just not just in the political scene or whatever. He's the one who told me that you've
cool.
just made
Yeah.
a game and it's doing well.
No, it's like again, I'm legitimately surprised, like, by because when we released the game, I thought like the exact opposite of what I described before. I thought like, did I make it too political? Will it not be appealing to like more normal
Well,
players?
political thing the only political thing you explained to me sounds like stuff that everyone's aware of and worried about. Living in a pod,
Yeah,
their job
yeah. I
sucks.
mean, there are some like very explicit references also to the fact that the system is essentially anti-white. Like there are like there's some stuff in the game where it's like it tells you like, I don't know, because you're a white person and because of your privilege, you are not entitled to this and that, like to
But
atone for
everybody
your
can
crimes and
recognize
so
that.
on.
That's very
But
common though. Like a lot of
that's
normal people.
also, yeah, like people get that. I think there's maybe there has also been like a bit of a shift over the last few years because all of this stuff is so blatantly obvious that like everybody gets it, and if you reference it, it's like, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
So
Or they even, it just seems like reality. It doesn't,
yeah,
even
yeah,
if
it's
even
probably.
if they're on the other side, they're like, oh yeah, okay, that's normal.
Oh yeah, we do that. Yeah, that's true. Haha.
Oh, we do that
Yeah.
or whatever, right? So it's not so outrageous. I mean, it is just reality. You can't deny it anymore, like for God's sake. But that's maybe that's something that changed a bit over the 3 years since you started it. You thought you were being you thought you were being super edgy, and now it's just like normal.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, actually, a lot has changed. I think, like also after COVID and so on. Like, I think that also changed a lot. Like the perception of people. I don't know. Like stuff has happened over the last few years since we began
Yeah.
working in the game for sure. Yeah, but the next games I want to make, like, I don't know. I've talked about it often. I would really like to do something like more horror themed. I always liked horror games.
Ooh.
I love the old Resident Evil and Silent Hill games, like these old
Oh, Resident Evil.
survival
Resident Evil was
horror
great.
type games. Yeah, especially the older ones where it
Yeah,
wasn't
which
so
was the one?
action.
There's one I really played a lot. Which was the one where they're in like a Spanish castle or whatever with the little guy with
Yeah,
the
that
little
was Resident
Napoleon?
Evil 4. I'm sure.
I love that.
That was great. That was great. I mean, it was already a bit more action oriented than the original games, because
Yeah.
I liked about the original games. I really liked that like everything was like ammunition was super scarce, health was super scarce. You couldn't control your character very well. It was very agile, so you were constantly on the edge on your seat because everything was super
Right.
threatening. I really
Yeah.
liked that. Yeah. So
So you would
something
do
along those
something.
lines.
That would be your next game, something like that. Yeah.
I have no idea. To be honest, we have no idea what we will do next. Maybe maybe we'll do a small mobile game or something, because it would probably be a good idea not to do a game again that takes 3 years to make, but something that goes a bit faster. But if
Right.
I could just like, if I had, I don't know, infinite money and I could just do whatever I would want to, I would make some like really like weird cosmic / psychological, I don't know, horror type survival horror game or something with some, yeah, like weird stuff going on.
Well,
That's what I
that
would
sounds
like
cool.
to do, but
That
let's see.
sounds
I
cool.
don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we'll see what you come out with next. I'm gonna wrap it up pretty quick here because I told the wife I would just be an hour, and
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
also
stick
have
because
to do.
of the time difference. Because the time, it's only she's had to shuffle off out of here, and she's gonna want to come back down. So, but I mean, that was good. That was great. It was great to talk to you and get to know about your work. And
Thanks, thanks for having me.
I wish
Also
you
had a lot
nothing
of
but the
fun.
best. If there's anything I can do to help with the marketing of the game, I will, or in your future
Cool.
games or whatever you want to do. I mean, I can
Thanks.
only do
Yeah,
my little part.
I'll get back to that. Like as I said, like it's all about the marketing at this point, and everything that helps us get more known outside of Germany will be much appreciated. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well then,
Okay,
thanks for
so
having me. This
Roland,
was a
thanks for
lot of
coming
fun.
on, and we'll shut her down. And everybody, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye bye.